This is a daughter card from a Chicago Cubs System 80B MPU, and there's a cracked solder joint or two in there, and the problem is that you have to take this card off in order to reflow the solder joints for these pins. This was a terrible design from the get-go. Fortunately, our friend Ed at Great Plains Electronics designed a new one for it, which I use when I need to replace both U2 and U3 due to damage to the U3 socket. This particular one that I've installed is from Andrew at nvram.weebly.com, and it only takes up a single space at U3 and forgoes the redundancy that Ed's dual U2 U3 implementation provides. But then again, since the traces weren't hacked up by somebody trying to take this off before, I can install Andrew's card confidently. I have replaced the socket, or no, I've installed a socket and replaced the 5101. That 5101 that was in there was an AMI part. They are always suspect. I have hundreds of 5101s from doing NVRAM installs, so I've replaced it with a SCM product. I have scraped the reset section and installed the Dallas Maxim 1811 equivalent reset generator, replaced the filter cap on the input, installed a CR2032 coin cell battery for backup of the CMOS RAM, and I have installed a loop of wire in the center of this picture, and that implements the SLAM switch mod. I have RoboWar ROMs installed. Right now, Chicago Cubs doesn't use this socket. In fact, it comes without that socket and without some jumpers, so I had to install that socket and some jumpers so that I could run it in my RoboWars. And the driver board was sent along with it. The driver board checks out 100%. So we're in attract mode, and this is the way I like to show the lamps operating correctly for 80B games. Now let me get into test, and I've got to connect my other test connector up there. One moment. All right, we entered test mode by pressing my simulated coin door switch button, and then I'm going to skip directly to the lamp test. I'm going to skip the lamp test since we've already done that. Advance to the solenoid test, and I wanted to be quiet so you could hear or maybe see something going on there, and all those solenoids did fire. Switch test, going across the diagonal, which tests both the columns and the rows at the same time, and you can see those are all working. The dip switch settings, if we decoded that hexadecimal, they would match the settings of those switches. And display test. I wish this was sped up a little bit. There's two things I wish about 80B games. One, display test was sped up, and two, the method for entering your initials was sped up just a little bit. So it looks good. This is a different ROM that I have for RoboWar, so that checksum will be different. So the last thing to do is to put the spring brake ROM back in it, make sure that it boots up fine, and these boards are good to go. Thank you so much for sending them.